In the annals of military strategy, few nations have faced the kind of sustained pressure, isolation, and existential threats that Iran has endured over the past 4 decades. Cut off from conventional arms markets, subject to crippling sanctions, and surrounded by regional rivals often backed by global superpowers, Iran's defense paradigm was forced into a crucible of innovation and self-reliance. This is not a story of a nation building a conventional military might to rival the West. Rather, it's the astonishing saga of how one strategic shift, centered on an unexpected weapon, began to fundamentally reshape its geopolitical standing, transforming its defense capabilities in a way that some might even hyperbolically describe as an ascent towards a form of regional superpower status. While no single missile, no solitary technological marvel, can unilaterally bestow such a monumental title, the cumulative impact of Iran's indigenous missile program has undeniably redefined its security posture, providing an asymmetric advantage that challenges established power dynamics and demands a reassessment of its influence on the global stage. It's a narrative less about overwhelming force and more about strategic deterrence, precision, and the uncanny ability to turn adversity into an unlikely forge for military advancement. The very essence of Iran's defense philosophy, especially post-revolution, became inextricably linked to the concept of asymmetric warfare. Imagine a chessboard where one player possesses an infinite supply of queens and rooks, while the other is left with a handful of knights and pawns. To compete, the weaker player cannot simply try to match piece for piece. Instead, they must devise a strategy that negates the opponent's strengths, exploits their vulnerabilities, and creates an unbearable cost for aggression. For Iran, facing a seemingly insurmountable technological gap with its adversaries, primarily the United States and its regional allies, conventional military parity was an unattainable dream. Its air force, once formidable under the Shah, dwindled, starved of spare parts and modern platforms. Its navy, though numerically respectable, paled in comparison to the advanced fleets patrolling its waters. Ground forces, while large, often lacked the high-tech equipment necessary to confront a modern, well-equipped army. In this stark reality, the missile emerged not merely as a weapon, but as the cornerstone of a doctrine designed to inflict unacceptable damage, deter intervention, and level the playing field. This wasn't about winning a conventional war, it was about preventing one, or making the cost of engagement so prohibitive that it became an unthinkable proposition. The development wasn't glamorous like stealth fighters or aircraft carriers. It was gritty, clandestine, and born out of necessity, focused on a weapon that could penetrate defenses, reach distant targets, and deliver a message of undeniable retaliation. The missile became the great equalizer, a relatively affordable yet devastating tool that could project power, disrupt supply lines, target critical infrastructure, and, most importantly, hold at risk the very assets that an adversary considered invulnerable. This strategic pivot transformed Iran from a nation primarily reliant on defensive ground forces to one capable of launching offensive strikes from its own territory, fundamentally altering the regional security equation. It was a move born of desperation, but executed with strategic foresight, embedding missiles deep within Iran's military doctrine as the primary means of ensuring its sovereignty and projecting its resolve across the volatile Middle East. This strategic reorientation was not a sudden epiphany, but rather a gradual evolution, honed through years of conflict, isolation, and a relentless pursuit of a credible deterrent that could speak volumes. Without the need for large-scale conventional engagement, it became the ultimate expression of Iran's porcupine strategy, making itself too painful to attack. One of the most remarkable aspects of Iran's missile program, and a testament to its strategic resilience, is how it blossomed under the crushing weight of international sanctions. From the immediate aftermath of the Islamic Revolution, and particularly following the Iran-Iraq War, Iran found itself systematically cut off from global arms markets. The United States, a primary arms supplier to the Shah's regime, led an international effort to impose comprehensive embargoes aimed at crippling Iran's military capabilities and preventing it from acquiring advanced weaponry. This isolation, rather than stifling Iran's ambitions, inadvertently became the catalyst for an extraordinary feat of indigenous development. Unable to import, Iran was forced to innovate. This wasn't merely about reverse engineering, it was about building an entire industrial ecosystem from the ground up, one capable of researching, designing, manufacturing, and mass producing complex missile systems. Engineers, scientists, and technicians, often trained in the West before the revolution, were tasked with deciphering foreign technologies, developing local substitutes for critical components, and pioneering new methodologies. It was a painstaking process, often involving trial and error, but it fostered an unparalleled level of self-reliance. Think of the intricate supply chains required for a modern missile guidance systems, propulsion units, warheads, telemetry, launch platforms. Each component demands specialized knowledge and manufacturing capabilities. Iran, under sanctions, had to develop or find alternative sources for all of them. This forced self-sufficiency, while arduous, resulted in a defense industry that became uniquely resilient to external pressures. Every new missile, every upgraded system, was a testament to domestic ingenuity and a defiant rejection of the notion that external pressure could dictate its national security. This sustained effort not only provided Iran with its own missile arsenal, but also cultivated a highly skilled workforce and a robust research and development infrastructure, laying the groundwork for continuous advancements. The sanctions, intended to weaken, inadvertently strengthened Iran's resolve and its capacity for independent military production, making its missile program a symbol of national pride and defiance against perceived foreign aggression. It became a powerful narrative, both internally and externally, a nation that, against all odds, forged its own instruments of defense, turning disadvantage into a strategic advantage and demonstrating an impressive ability to overcome immense technological hurdles through sheer will and persistent effort. For decades, Iran's early missile arsenal, largely based on Scud variants, suffered from a significant limitation, a lack of precision. These were weapons of area denial, designed to hit large targets or sow terror, but incapable of pinpoint accuracy. This changed dramatically with what many analysts consider the precision breakthrough. Missiles like the Imad, unveiled in 2015, and subsequent iterations such as the updated Chuam-1 with terminal guidance kits, and more recently, the K-bar Shikan, represented a qualitative leap. This wasn't just about longer ranges or bigger warheads. It was about the ability to guide a missile to its target with a significantly higher degree of accuracy. Imagine the difference between throwing a rock at a house and firing a guided projectile through a specific window. This shift from unguided ballistic missiles to precision, guided munitions fundamentally transformed their strategic utility. Previously, Iran's missiles were a blunt instrument, primarily effective as a deterrent against broad aggression. With precision, they became surgical tools, capable of targeting specific military installations, command and control centers, airfields, naval vessels, and critical infrastructure with a much higher probability of success. This accuracy exponentially increased their strategic value and, consequently, the threat perception from adversaries. No longer could an opponent simply dismiss Iran's missiles as inaccurate terror weapons. Now, specific high-value assets could be held at risk, forcing adversaries to reconsider their deployments, fortifications, and operational plans. The ability to strike with precision also reduced the potential for collateral damage, making their use in limited scenarios more feasible and raising the stakes for any military engagement. It also allowed Iran to fine-tune its deterrence strategy, threatening specific, crucial targets rather than relying on indiscriminate strikes. This precision capability wasn't a sudden gift. It was the result of years of dedicated research into complex guidance systems, aerodynamic control, and advanced sensor technology, often achieved through reverse engineering, indigenous innovation, and, reportedly, some external assistance that Iran adapted to its own unique requirements. The impact was immediately clear. The Houthis in Yemen, allegedly supplied with Iranian or Iranian-derived missile technology, began demonstrating increasingly sophisticated strikes against Saudi Arabian and Emirati targets, showcasing this newfound precision. While deniable by Tehran, the parallels in technology were unmistakable. This leap in precision guidance wasn't just a technical achievement, it was a strategic game changer, transforming Iran's missile arsenal from a raw deterrent into a highly effective tool for power projection and tailored response. It fundamentally altered the risk assessment for any potential adversary, demonstrating that Iran had moved beyond mere quantity to a sophisticated level of quality in its missile capabilities, making its arsenal a more credible and potent force in regional dynamics. The cumulative effect of Iran's missile development, particularly the advancement in precision, has been the establishment of a robust and credible deterrence capability. In military strategy, deterrence is about discouraging an adversary from taking an action by threatening them with unacceptable costs. For a nation like Iran, lacking the conventional air superiority or naval power to directly confront the combined forces of its rivals and global powers, missiles have become its primary means of dissuasion. Imagine an adversary considering a preemptive strike against Iran's nuclear facilities or military bases. Without a credible retaliatory capability, such a strike might be perceived as low risk. However, with a diverse arsenal of increasingly precise ballistic and cruise missiles, capable of reaching targets hundreds, if not thousands, of kilometers away, the calculus shifts dramatically. Iran can credibly threaten to retaliate against vital oil infrastructure, military bases in neighboring countries, or even naval assets in the Persian Gulf. This threat of retaliation, even if it doesn't guarantee destruction of all targets, ensures that any aggressive action against Iran would come at a severe and costly price, raising the stakes to an unacceptable level for the aggressor. This deterrence is multi-layered. Firstly, there's the sheer quantity. Iran possesses thousands of missiles of various types, making a complete preemptive destruction of its arsenal incredibly difficult, if not impossible, without a large-scale, prolonged conflict. Secondly, there's redundancy. The missiles are often mobile, launched from various undisclosed locations, and some are stored in underground bunkers, making them less vulnerable to initial strikes. Thirdly, the improving precision means that even a smaller number of surviving missiles could deliver a devastating blow to specific, high-value targets. This capability forces adversaries to think twice, to consider the potential for economic disruption, personnel casualties, and political fallout that a missile strike could unleash. It doesn't mean Iran can win a conventional war against a superior military, but it means Iran can make any victory for an aggressor so costly that it becomes functionally equivalent to a defeat. This credible threat has become a crucial element in Iran's foreign policy, providing it with a stronger hand in regional negotiations and discouraging direct military intervention. It ensures that Iran's voice, however isolated it may be, cannot be entirely dismissed in the complex geopolitical landscape of the Middle East. It has effectively created a missile umbrella under which Iran can pursue its regional objectives and defend its interests, knowing that direct, overt military aggression against its mainland carries an unprecedented level of risk for any would-be attacker. This psychological component of deterrence is as important as the physical capability. It's the belief, shared by adversaries, that Iran will retaliate and that such retaliation will be painful,